Shalom. It's that time again, Israel. It's the Shalom. It's that time again, Israel. It's the Lord's 54th annual Passover in North Carolina.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
The Isupk, under Commander General Yohana, will be hosting the Lord's 54th annual Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Convention Center. This is something that you do not want to miss. Make sure that y'all bring the entire family.
Oh, you think I'm bullshitting? Wait till I get with you. If I gotta go to ground, I'ma shut the town down. I ain't about to stop until I hear sand down. All you gonna see is a lot of man down.
The Downtown Raleigh Convention Center.
We ain't never stopping now. You running now. All my niggas go to ground. We go to ground. You dealing with the menopause.
For Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. Go to isupk.com to purchase your tickets today. $200 per every adult over the age of 17 years old.
We are not the same. No, we not related. I'm not stuck on living. Death is a vacation. My camp undefeated. You cannot debate. You just want the clout.
The Lord's 54th annual Passover, April the 1st, is coming down to Raleigh, North Carolina. Commander General Yohana has done it again. You don't want to miss this. Pull yourself. Pull yourself.
Hey, Shalom Israel. This is a public service announcement to all the sisters out there. Y'all already know what time it is. Them Passover corsages is blooming absolutely right this year. If you a married sister, rock that red corsage. And for all the single sisters out there, the white corsage was made just for you. Stop playing. You cannot be Passover ready without rocking one of these. Just $10 to complete that fit for the Lord's 54th annual Passover. Pre-order yours now. Click the link below for more info. For just $10, I got a feeling that this is just the right batch of flowers to have you looking on point and official. Sisters, make it your business to get you one. We hope to see you there. Shalom Israel.
So I spit choo-choo, I taste the whole thing. Taking my star, taking my style. I'm far from a lane, girl, just let me put it down, baby. She on the road, can't get around in my coupe. Me and you, we just cruising through the town lately. Ask me some questions, girl, do you mind? What would it take to make you mine, please? Tell me be you, and we can try. So I spit true, I take the whole thing. Taking my star, taking my style. I'm far from a lane, girl, just let me put it.
Oh yeah, it's going down. Join us for this year's All Black Party, hosted by Commanding General Yohana and the ISUPK. This year, it's going down in Durham, North Carolina at the Durham Armory. Last year, brothers and sisters came out from all over the world. It was a packed house to celebrate the 2022 Hebrew Academy graduates. These brothers faced life and death, and as a result, they were honored on this night for their sacrifice and their victory at the gauntlet. But wait, this year it's going down. There will be a Hebrew concert featuring Captain Akai, 144 the Rebel, King Ty, Captain Ty Ward, Lost Tribe, Captain Katazai, I Won Your Allah, also known as Dope E, and Officer Natazai, UPK Natazai, and much more. It's going to be an open bar. Make sure that you get your tickets. It's going down this year, 2023, the 54th annual Passover and the annual All Black Party, hosted by Commanding General Yohana and the ISUPK.
Still blessed and still we rise.
Places. On multiple occasions, I read that. Salakia. Hey, shalom, young man. How about Shemel Shabakatah? Can you hear me?
Shalom. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Salakia. Let me see. It might be having some audio issues again. I couldn't hear you. I don't think you're muted though. Bear with me just a moment. It might be over here on my side. Let me see. Now, I hear me on the live. Yeah, so like, say something again, young man. Baba
Yahweh
Kushal.
by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah.
Yeah, I can't hear you. Let me see if your audio is coming through on the live. Let me see. Hold up. Okay, so I see that the audio is working on the live, but for some reason it's not coming through on my computer. No. My audio is coming through on the live and his audio, but I can't hear him. For whatever reason, I'm not sure. But I'm going to try to figure it out right now. Let me see if I can do this real quick. I think I might hear you now, young man.
Salaki, sir. Can you hear me now?
Khan, I hear you just fine now. Salaki for that. Yeah, I think one of our cords here might have a little bit of a short in it or something that's messing up the audio. So sometimes it goes in and out. But I hear you just fine now. Shalom, how about you, man?
Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah.
Most High in Christ, man. Also, let me send that link out to everybody, anybody who wants to tune in. It's like, yeah, you gotta, because it's probably gonna be feedback on your mic. So I'm gonna share this link. Copy. Put it in the comments. Thank Christ. All right, we're gonna get right into it. Salakia. Also, young man, for now, I'm a full screen myself. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna bring you back up shortly. But I'm a full
Khan
screen,
and one Khan.
so everybody can see the screen, see the board. Khan. Most High in Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah, Braka Thumb to all the brothers. Yahweh Shamar, all the Thun Bashim, Yahweh Shah to all the sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, the Friday night Hebrew class. You know what I'm saying? Brought to you by the Isupk. We out here in Durham, North Carolina. Priest and officer of 1,000 Thabawan, holding it down as usual with my brother officer of 500 Yanazar. Okay, also we got, young man Henry in the building as well. Bahamas in the building. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get right into it. Also, if you want to join into the class and be present in the class online, you can just click the link in the in the comments, and you can go ahead and you know what I'm saying, you get backstage and then I'll let you in. You know what I'm saying? You can be in the class. All right. So Most High in Christ. We're gonna go. Give me Micah 2 and 10, Baruch Shah. Let's start. We started a little late, but let's get Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. You know what I'm saying? The brother, me and Officer Giannis are always, whenever we come in for this Friday class, we always, end up chatting, catching up a little bit before we start. And he was just telling me, you know what I'm saying, about some different things and some current events, right? Some current events, man. And you just said something, Giannis. What did you just said a second ago? You said something. You said something about, okay, you said you can't understand why.
I can't understand how our people love the oppressor so much.
Right.
So I really can't, man. I like, it boggles my mind. I can't figure it out. Like, what? I mean, your mind has to be totally destroyed for you to just love your enemy like that.
Right. Your mind has to be totally destroyed. And that's what it is. And we use an example from a story. If you haven't heard, of course, we have a lecture in coming out soon in North Carolina. It'll probably be March 11th. So you know what I'm saying? So try to keep that date on your calendar open. You know what I mean? March 11th. You know what I'm saying? It's probably we're gonna do this lecture. It's a lecture on Black Wall Street, the Black Wall Street that was here in Durham, North Carolina. But we're also gonna start out with an extensive section on the Stagville Plantation. These are both two locations that will be a part of the Passover events. You can do tours for the Black Wall Street tour, and you can also do a Stagville tour. Well, we're doing a lecture on both of these places about 2 weeks before the actual Passover. All right, so we were talking about a brother. I'm not gonna give you too much, but there's a brother who lived on a plantation at Stagville. He was born there, if I'm not mistaken, and basically lived there till he died. This is way after the Civil War, way after slavery. He was born only a couple of years before, maybe 10 or so years before the Civil War broke out. So, he didn't grow up. He grew up as a slave, but slavery ended when he was relatively young. But he made a statement at some point, later on when he had gotten interviewed, that was very much showed how much reverence he had for his slave master, how much love he had for his slave master. You know what I'm saying? And so when Yanazar, brought that up, and then we talked about the oppressor, how could somebody love the oppressor, man? It's like, to connect it to this, it's like, this is why it's so important for us to learn this language. It's so important for us to be in these classes, to learn from Commander General Yohana, General Mahayman, General Mayak, you know what I'm saying? All the generals, General Haas, General Q, General Ayin Shawamar, General Kathumgabar. It's important for us to learn from them captains. So that way we can keep, it keeps us grounded in the reality of who our enemy is. Because you have black women running around talking about they're Jewish and following behind the same oppressor that has continued to help destroy the so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Indians. We have to know who our enemy is. And learning our culture helps to keep us, again, grounded in who we are and thus who our enemies are. So let's read Micah 2:10 real quick, because this is a scripture that, my Ottawa, one of my Ottawans, Captain Yagarwap, reads all the time in our show. I'll let the scripture speak. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Got my card, sir. This is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye.
Now it says, arise ye. Who's it talking to? Who's the ye?
As usual, sirs, the children of Israel.
Right. The children of Israel are being told to arise. Arise ye. Go ahead.
And depart.
That's important. Arise ye and depart. It's not telling you to join. It's not telling you to get with. It's not telling you to incorporate yourself. It's not telling you to assimilate yourself. It's telling you to arise and depart. Go ahead.
For this is not your rest.
Right. For this is not your rest. Now, this depart that it's talking about is what? What is this talking about when it says arise ye and depart?
And basically, sir, is saying, stand up and come out of this place spiritually. Come out of this place. Man.
Exactly. Arise ye, and as Yanazar said, so right, and come out of this place spiritually. It's just like in Revelation chapter 18 and verse 2, where it said, what? Come out of her, my people. Right? We're being told to come out of this place. Not physically, because the things that America does is everywhere. America plagues and oppresses, our people with what? Abortions.
Abortion,
Murder. They oppress our people with police brutality. They oppress our people, you understand, with drugs. They oppress our people with all kinds of things, man. They oppress our people with LGBTQ. They oppress our people with these things. Let me ask you a question.
With movies.
With movies. Let me ask you a question. Are those same movies in Africa? Can you go watch those movies in Africa? Is LGBTQ just in the United States proper? What about drugs? Is drugs just in Newark, New Jersey? No. Drugs are in, you go to Canada right now. There's drugs in Canada. There's drugs in Jamaica. I mean, the young man, Henry, we always talk about it in class, man. You watch the commercials, One Love. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to the Caribbean and feel all right. You think that the Bahamas is just white sand and wonderful beaches. Not saying it doesn't have that, but in the Bahamas right now, there are people getting high as a kite. Black people getting high as a kite and murdering each other in the Bahamas. You understand? That should tell you something. This is not your rest. So it's not about where you go. You cannot fly away from drug addiction. You cannot get a plane ticket to take you away from murder, to take you away from hating your brother. You can't do it. In fact, you're going to get on a plane and go fly to Africa, and so you can hate black people even more because you can't stand a sister. So now you want to go get you some Nigerian woman who is not your sister. You understand? You want to be around a bunch of Nigerian men who are not your brother. It's real easy to be nice to them, but you can't be kind to your own brothers. So yeah, you can't take a bus, a train, a plane, a car, or anything out of this oppression, out of this condition. Read it from the top, Baba Kusha.
This is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest.
For this is not your rest. It's simple and plain. You know, this is not your, we broke it down in the class on Tuesday. This is not your home. You know, when you think of rest is the place where you go to at the end of a long day of work. You go home to rest your head. You know what I'm saying? Brother Mike back in the day might call it his crib. You know what I'm saying? You might even hear some brothers say the rest. You know what I'm saying? That's the place where you go and lay your head down. But the Bible is telling you this is not your rest. This ain't your home. This world, again, it's not physical. This world is not the home where your spirit is meant to reside. All right? Go ahead, Yanazor.
Because it is polluted.
It is what?
Polluted.
Because it is polluted. This place is polluted. Again, in Revelation chapter 18 and verse 2, you understand? It tells you that this place, you know what I'm saying, is Babylon. You know what I mean? It says it's the home of every foul spirit. And it's the cage of every foul bird, every horrible, every foul thing you can imagine is housed here. Child molestation is nice and comfortable here. You understand? Pedophilia is nice and comfortable here. Rape, robbery, murder, drug addiction. Those things are nice and comfortable here. This is their home. But it's not your rest, right? It's polluted with these things, and so you cannot rest here. Go ahead, Yanazor.
It shall destroy you.
It shall what?
Destroy you.
It shall destroy you. The more you're a part of this world, it's going to destroy you. Read on.
Even with a sore destruction.
Ooh, that's the part of Captain Yagarwap like. It with a sore destruction, with a harsh, a strong destruction. You want to say something, Yanazor?
Concert.
Please.
Like, you know, me and Officer Maya Shaw was having a conversation, right? And what we was talking about was that, like, we poor as shit here in UPK. You know, none of us is rich, nothing. We poor. But we happier than these rich. We happier. I'm happier than these. They got millions and millions of dollars. I'm happier than them.
Damn right. Damn right.
I'm happier than them.
Damn
and that's the thing. Because at least we know who we are. We know what's going on.
That's right.
And we have the proper love for our people.
That's it. And we have something that they don't have, which is brotherhood, man.
That's the word.
We got brotherhood for each other. I know no matter what happens, damn right. And listen, it ain't having brotherhood. No one said it's going to be easy. It's not easy to have brotherhood. It's not. You know what I mean? But that's what it's all about at the end of the day. No, brotherhood is not, oh, it's so easy to you know what I mean? To be able to let your brother rely on you, let your brother lean on you in the tough times. No, it's not easy, man. Sometimes you don't want to be bothered. Sometimes you want to chill at home. Sometimes, I mean, Yarmok hit me up and he'd be like, yo, bro, let's go do this and do that. And sometimes I'm just like, nah, bro, I'm a chill. And he'd be like, I no sweat. Sometimes you do it again and I'm just like, you know what? Let's do it. You know why? Even if I don't want to, why? Because that's my brother, man. And it ain't always about me. It's not always about how I feel. Why? Because my brother might be going through something. He may not want to say it, but he may just need to be around the Akim. He may just, you know what I'm saying? He might just need to, you know, just to have that feeling, that brotherhood around him to lift his spirit up. And who am I to always make it about me? But we learned that in here, man. Just last week, man, we went out and did a bunch of promos for the Passover, man. It was glorious. It was glorious, man. You know what I mean? And we're going to be seeing a lot of each other over the next month. You know, we got this Passover coming. Shout out to the Passover. Ooh-wee. Most High in Christ for the 54th annual Passover. But long story short, man, that's because we are not of this world. Like Christ said, he said, be ye not of this world. You know what I mean? We're not of this world. When I see my brothers, I'm reminded, listen, yeah, I live here. We all live here, but we're not of this place. Any more on that, Yanazar?
That's it on that. Even with a sore destruction.
Even with a sore destruction. Right, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer sorely. You know what I'm saying? Sorely just means strong, okay? Strongly. All right, so that's why we have to utilize the lessons that we learn. And again, it's not always going to be easy. You're going to struggle with the Lashawan Qadash. You're going to struggle learning the law. You're going to struggle learning the brotherhood. You're going to struggle with the scripture breakdown. You know what I'm saying? If you're an officer, man, sometimes that checking is going to be tough. Sometimes this again, it's not going to be easy, but staying grounded in this will keep you from dying out there. You understand? It's a very cold and horrible world out there, as we're reading in the Bible and as we're seeing on our news every single day. So, you know what I'm saying? So be very, very grateful that the Lord saw fit to choose you. Everybody that's watching, if you in these classes, if you becoming a trooper, becoming an officer, if you a sister coming to these classes, doing your 90 days, getting your name, be grateful that the Lord chose you, because as the scriptures say, many are called, but few are chosen. All right? So we're going to get into this, man. Get into this and build a strong foundation. So now, last week what we were discussing was what? Same thing we've been on for a couple weeks. We've been dealing with these prefixes and these suffixes to formulate these phrases, right? To formulate these phrases. And last week we introduced a little something new. We kind of got into a concept of object pronouns and subject pronouns. All right. We're going to deal with that a little bit today. Okay. Object pronouns and subject pronouns. We were talking about some other stuff here too as well. Plurals and things like that. This is another one of the phrases that we did the week before, and we've seen it last week as well. The ability to connect the prefix to a suffix without a root, right? To make certain phrases. Here we were able to see the phrase "to me." You know, think about how you can use that again in certain sentences. To me, to you, to them, from me, from you, from them, and so on. And we're still, you know, kind of talking about those things. And we'll get right back to it. But for now, if I could, quickly, let's just recall what class we're in and why we call this class what we call this class. We won't spend too much time on it, but I do like to start off the class with it sometime. This is a quick briefing. Okay, this here we go. All right. Okay, anything to what? Lashawan Qadash class. Right? Qadash is a root word that simply means holy, which means what?
Separate, set apart. Mm-hmm. Separate, set apart.
Right, separate or set apart, right? And then we know Lashawan comes from the root word Lashon, which is the common denominator for the phrase for tongue, right? So shun plus wa, right? In the middle of a word specifically becomes what? What we call the ing. Okay. Be very careful with this, as I say many times. Do not just throw a wa in any word and say ing, because you may find yourself doing that, and then you try to find it in the scriptures, And you won't quite find it that way. Everything is contextual. Everything has to be the right situation to call for it. All right? But this is the general way it works. And so now Lashun goes from this noun or this body part to an action, right? So Lashun, what's the wa, the ing. This is tongue pause, like tonguing, or the action of a tongue, the doing of a tongue, pause, something a tongue does. And it becomes language. Because that is the function of the tongue. Right? Because as we know, you can absolutely eat without teeth and a tongue. You can eat without a tongue. You need your teeth to eat more than you need your tongue. You know what I'm saying? Your tongue has always been, as we say many times in class, it has always throughout history been identified mostly as an appendage for speech. That's what it's used for, right? That's why they cut out your tongue to silence you. All right. Most High in Christ. So now let's learn these pronouns. We're going to come back to these. We also have some more words. We learned the word for gold. We learned the word for silver. Let's do these pronouns real quick, right? Who remembers what we talked about when it came to object pronouns and subject pronouns? Anybody remember that conversation? Like what we... Meaning what? Mm-hmm. Not quite. It's the opposite, right? Because look, you got to remember we're talking about pronouns here. So the real question, this we're going to use a sentence that I've used before to show this, to illustrate it, and then we're going to see it used in Hebrew. He loved her. He loved her. What is the object and what is the subject? First of all, how many pronouns are in this sentence? There's two pronouns. He, her. Two pronouns. Pronoun. Pronoun. Why are we able to say those are pronouns? Now, we're not going to get to, everybody knows Officer Thaba One. When I teach my Lashawan Qadash class, I get in a lot into grammar. Again, it's Salakia. It's just my particular background, you know what I'm saying, academically. So that's kind of just how I approach it, even when I teach this, because it helps me when, in teaching the language and understanding the language, to understand, again, the parts of speech, how they function. I'm good with that. Or better, not to my horn, nothing, but it's like, if it makes me more comfortable. Understanding the function of a thing helps me kind of know, okay, this is when I use this is when I use that, and so on and so forth. So, two pronouns. Why are these words pronouns?
Sulaki, sir.
Please, young man.
Because they could be used in place of a noun.
Absolutely. Perfect. That's what a pronoun is. They can be used in place of a noun. Specifically, in the place of a what? Of a, it could be, it doesn't have to be, but, oftentimes it would be a proper noun, right? Like a name. Like I could say John loved Sally. But maybe I said John in each of the last 5 sentences, and I said Sally about 3 times before this. So now it becomes redundant. It's like I don't want to have to say John's name every single time I speak. You know, it would just be, it would be too much. It's a lot easier if I say John's name maybe once or twice at the beginning, and then throughout the rest of the paragraph or what have you, I'm going to say he or him or so on. Okay. So the brother's absolutely correct. That's what a pronoun is. It replaces these. I can get rid of these, and I can say he loved her. I can say he loved Sally, right? Or I can say John loved her. I can mix it up, but that's the purpose of these pronouns, right? Absolutely correct. So now we know that part. We know these are pronouns. Now, which one is the object pronoun and which one is the subject pronoun? Think of those 2 words. Those 2 words will help you understand this question. Object, subject. Subject, object. Yeah, young man.
Yeah, so the subject will be her.
Okay.
And the object will be he.
Okay, why you say that?
Because he is doing the acting.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing the
action, right?
Yeah, the action.
Mm-hmm.
And she is basically the acting. The action is being done to her or on her. Yes.
Right. So you said her is the object or the subject?
Her is the subject.
Okay. Her is the subject. He is the object.
He's the object.
Ah, okay. What does the word subject mean? Somebody look it up. What does the word subject mean? We're going to see if the young man is correct. I'm going to just tell you right now, young man, you are incorrect.
And with the opposite way around.
It's the opposite. We're going to use the word subject to find out why it's the opposite. Because I can see why you can think that, right? I can see that. But we're going to get the definition of subject to understand this better. And then we're going to transfer all this into what we use in everything we're doing with this English sentence is relevant to what we're learning in Hebrew. Don't think that it's not. We're going to show this thing here. In fact, we did it last week, but we're going to just continue with it. Okay?
Got it? It's 2. This one might be the one that we want to use.
Go ahead.
That of which a quality, attribute, or relation may be affirmed, or in which it may inhere or inhere. Nah. Okay. One subject to a monarch or governed by the monarch's law. One that is placed under authority or control, such as one that is acted on. An individual whose reactions or responses are studied.
The one who's acted on is close, but I got a definition right here. There's no sweat. We're going to use specifically subject in grammar. That definition, right? This is the definition of subject within grammar. The subject in a simple English sentence, such as John runs, John is a teacher, or John drives a car, is the person or thing about whom the statement is made. In this case, John. Traditionally, the subject is the word or phrase which controls the person. Salakia is the person or thing about whom the statement is made. So it says traditionally the subject is the word or phrase which controls the verb in the clause, that is to say, which the verb agrees. John is, but John and Mary are. If there is no verb, or if the verb has a different subject, then John is not considered to be the grammatical subject, but it can be described as the topic of the sentence. So long story short, the subject is not about the idea within the sentence. It's about the sentence itself. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning this. Who is this sentence about? He loved her. Who's it about?
It's about he, sir.
See?
Yeah.
Young said it's about her. Young man said it's about he. What do you know about her from this sentence? That's what you know about her. Right. But that's a good, you answered that a certain way. It's interesting. But I'm trying to say it right. The her here doesn't have any qualities. He does. Because he's the one performing an action. We're learning something about him here. This sentence is teaching us something about he. We're learning about his feelings, his emotions in relation to her. But it's the he that we're learning about. You understand? So if we had kept it, what was it? John loves Sally, right? We don't know what Sally feels. We don't know how Sally thinks, but we do know that John loves her. That's what we know. So the subject of this sentence is who? As the young man said, it's he, because he's the one who this is about. This sentence is to teach us something about him. We don't know nothing about her, right? Another one, before we show how we use this in Hebrew. She may not know anything. She could just be walking down the street. So this would be the subject pronoun. And this would be the object pronoun. Because in this sentence, her is the object. Absolutely. Right? Think of it like that when you might say the object of his affections. In this sentence, she is an object. Let's bring it to the Bible, but in English. I don't think this is an exact quote, so. How many pronouns are in the sentence? Let's just toss these in the trash, these old batteries. You see two?
Salakisha, yes, I see two.
Which
Also,
ones?
they and him.
They and him, absolutely correct. Yahushua is what in this sentence?
A proper noun.
It's a proper noun. It's a noun, but it's not a pronoun, right? Because interestingly enough, they named him Yahushua, right? Yeah, this is the noun. This is more so. It's not even. This is. You wouldn't even be able to put. You can't replace this with a pronoun. This is. I don't even know what you refer to that in grammar. I have to look that up. But in this sentence, obviously, this is a pronoun, but you can't. This is a noun, but you cannot replace it with a pronoun here, because the whole point of it is for identification's sake. So in this sentence, this may not even function as a noun. I'm actually curious. They named him Yahushua. Like, it's a little different. That's very interesting. But for our sakes right now, it's actually not really meaningful, right? But they and him. They and him, okay? So, what's the subject? What's the object?
Salaki, sir.
Good.
So they would be the subject
Mm-hmm.
because they're the ones who's naming him.
Right. They are you're correct. Give them a hand. They is the subject of this sentence. Now, technically, we could say that this sentence is about who? Yahushua, right? We could say that. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't necessarily be inaccurate. That's who it's about. But imagine for a second that the word that Yahushua wasn't here. Because like I said, this is a noun, but it can't be replaced with a pronoun. Imagine this sentence just said, they named him. Believe it or not, that's a complete thought. That's a sentence. They named him, right? Because you have a subject and you have a what? A predicate. They performed an action. All you need for a sentence is a subject and an action or a predicate to be performed. You can literally say, she ran. That's a sentence. You understand? They named him. That's a sentence. Now, this sentence happens to be giving us more information about the details of what they named him. But guess what? They're still the subject because it's still telling us more about them, believe it or not. Again, grammatically speaking, let me make sure I make that clear. Grammatically speaking, it tells us more about them. Not obviously in terms of the scriptures, but grammatically speaking, we don't know anything about him other than his name. And he didn't give himself the name, they did. It was them who had the idea to give him this name. So we learn more about them. What they did. What they did is what we learn here. Him, you know, it's a good word to think of it as when you're asking about object pronoun. Technically, you know what him is here? A bystander. In this context, grammatically, he's a bystander. They are active. Him is inactive. He didn't do anything. He got named. He could just have easily have been named George. Not really. Salakia. Don't think I'm saying that Yahushua's name could have been George. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply, again, pointing out that grammatically, the him who just happens to be named Yahushua is an inactive participant, a bystander, a participant. They are the ones we're concerned with here, grammatically. Okay? So then, as the young man said, which is correct, this would be the subject pronoun, object pronoun. All right. Now, how then do we transfer this into our understanding of Hebrew? We have a phrase right here, right? I love you. Very common phrase in language. I love you. And we learn that to say this phrase, we have a pronoun and then a root word, ahab. Again, the yah here is just kind of a buffer. Ahabyaka sounds better than ahabka. So don't think of this too much right now. The ka is the important part. How the word ends is what's important here. Anya ahabyaka. This ka is what? Is what we learned is a pronominal, which means simply a word that can either be a possessive or what? Or a pronoun. Now there's no way that this is possessive because there's nothing to possess here. There's no noun in the root that you can say is mine, right, or yours, right? So it becomes I love you, which again, like our sentences here, has what? Two pronouns. And like our sentences here, the I is the subject and the you is the object. Meaning what? Meaning that this is how we are going to approach the difference in utilizing our standalone pronouns and our what? Our pronominals. Right? I'll show you. One second. Bear with me just a moment. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's erase these real quick. Everybody got, you don't again, you don't have to write these if you don't want to, but these are just to kind of help understand this concept we're talking about. All right. up an example real quick. Just had it. So like I'll get it in a second. So this time, let's get these pronouns up here. And then they gave him another 20 years. But it's gonna run concurrent. Like it's not like I think it's, yeah. Nope. Yep. Yep. Crown got to do the time. It's facts. They definitely trying to make an example of him. Oh, word. Yeah, I forgot about her. I could imagine.
Basically the same shit.
Mm-hmm. And the M and P, I'll just mean male and plural. Slakia. So these are our list of personal pronouns, right? These are also, I'll write it in a second. These are also more so what are for formal usage, right? For formal usage, right? So you'll see also for emphasis. A lot of times you'll see the Most High use this when he's trying to make a point of, kind of showing you where he'll say I, even I. We got sentences like that. So let's see if I can find one that does that. I, even I. Right, Genesis chapter 6 and verse 17. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Okay? Emphasis, I, even I. Then here's one, Elijah, right? Then Elijah said unto the people, I, even I only remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Right? And if you read it in the Hebrew, Waya Amar, Alahayawa, Al Ha'im, Anya, right? Anya, Nawathorathia, Nabaya'ah, La Yahweh, right? 1 second. Okay. I, even I, Isaiah 43:11, I, even I am the Lord. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Kind of bear with me just a moment. Her mistress in her eyes. Interesting. Right. Because her, I forgot her does function multiple ways. These men are peaceable with us. Let me see if this works. Right. So here's an example, right, of go to Genesis 34 and 21. And we're just going to read the first part of the sentence to kind of understand again. Now, this is not always the case, but just it's to get an idea of how it works most of the time, and certainly how we would use it to formulate our own sentences, because that's where we're going with it. We want to go to the place where we can formulate our own sentences, right? And we kind of want to know ahead of time what we're getting ourselves into and how to use it. So let's read this. Yanazar, if you can read it in the English.
Got one concept. These men of Slakia. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 34, In verse 21, these men are peaceable with us. Therefore, let them dwell in the land and trade therein.
Mm-hmm.
For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which, if I'm not mistaken, this was absolutely wrong to be doing at the time, but I can't recall the breakdown here in Genesis 34. But it just sounds like something you're not supposed to do. But nonetheless. Okay. I got you. But the first part says, these men are peaceable with us. These men are peaceable with us. Now I read it in Hebrew. It says, Ha anashim, ha Allah, shalom yum, hum, afnawa. All right. I heard that last part. All right. So, what does hum mean as a word on its own? Because this hum here is not attached to anything. So again, I need y'all to be looking at your blue letter Bible because I don't have it written on the board. I don't have it written on the board. So you got to use your blue letter Bible to go to Genesis 34 and 21. Okay. And scroll down. Remember, put it on forward interlinear. You see that? Put it on forward interlinear, or it's a forward inline. Put it on that, and then scroll down, and you can read it from right to left. Right? Ha anashim, ha Allah, so on and so forth. Right? So it says, the men, or these men, peaceable, which is shalom yum. Notice it's not shalom or none of that. It says shalom yum, right? Or they're giving abundance of peace, right? Hum, which is what? They. Notice the connection here. This is what I want everyone to understand. And we're going to see this a lot. It's not always going to overlap exactly the way we expect it to. It will very often, but here's the connection. Anya is a personal pronoun. It's the formal version of that, right? Atha is you. It's the formal version of that. I'm not going to say the subject version because it's not always going to work that way. It's more likely, and we'll see that in this very sentence. But look, hawa'a. Haya'a. Anak. Look. Nawa. There's a connection here. Some of these even have similar parts. Thy or thine, which is the same thing as you or y'all, but plural. Same thing. A thumb. Just like when we say what? If we're talking to multiple brothers, we say shalom, Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shabrak, a thumb. A thumb. Right here. Just locking my handwriting. That's a thumb that connects to that. A thun connects to that. Hum is the exact same word. Look at that. Hum and hun. The only difference is that these pronominals are going to be what? Attached to the end of a word. But we see right here, when we're reading this in Hebrew, we see ha, anashim, ha Allah, shalom yum. Look at that. Hum, I have it highlighted. It's by itself. It's not attached to the end of a word. So that means that word, and we can even click on it. We click on it, H9992. See it right there, hum. We click on it. It's going to tell you what. I bet you it was going to tell you what we talked about before with third person and first person, second person. Remember, this is first person. This is first person, but it's plural. This is second person. These are second person, but they're plural. These are third person. These are third person, but they're plural. I bet you was going to say third person plural masculine or something to that effect. Let's see. We click on it. Oh, part of speech. Third person plural masculine. Right? Personal pronoun. Just as we suspected. That's what it means. They, them, themselves, those, so on and so forth. Right? But in this sentence, it's saying these men are peaceable, they are, with us. Right? Because in the English, these men are peaceable with us. But more so, literally, it's saying the men, these men, peaceable they are, or they, with us. Why can I say they are? Because, and that's something we'll discuss maybe more so next week. Right now we're dealing with the pronoun part of it. But all of these pronouns, as we said before, there's no connecting verbs in Hebrew. So you are, she is, they are, I am, so on and so forth. Generally speaking, 90% of the time, those verbs are just implied. There's only certain special scenarios where am is actually used, like I am, meaning I exist. But for the most part, am, is, are, we are, you are, they are, she is. That connecting verb doesn't really appear in Hebrew. It's implied. It's implied within the pronouns. So this Anya is I am. This Atha is you are. Hawa'a is he is. Haya'a she is. Anaknawa we are. You understand? We might get some examples of that today. But for now, we're seeing this hum used here for they. And then the next part says what? Ath nawa. Ath nawa. What is that ath? That's a root word which happens to be a preposition, right? Which simply means with. With us. All right? That ath means with. You see it's connected with the nawa, so it means what? With us. It even says it. Afnawa, with us. What is so what is happening here? Meaning, in this sentence, our personal pronoun was used as a subject pronoun. They. And our pronominal, nawa, was used as what? We have it in our brackets right here. This is when it was used as a pronominal. It's used as an object pronoun. With us. They have been peaceable with us. The us is the bystander. You understand? The us is not the one being peaceable. Right. This is a person trying to get you to understand something about what? Them. They've been peaceable with us. All right. Most High in Christ. Let's see what else. So again, we're just talking about the how these are used a lot of the time. You understand? Who's doing the action? Right. God, no, for sure. I'm simply saying these are the questions we have to ask ourselves in other sentences. We could very easily do that too. Like if it's saying they were peaceable with us, We can say she is peaceable with us. He is peaceable with us. And so on. We can use this in a lot of ways. Bear with me. Here's another one. Go to Genesis 24 and 44. Genesis 24 and 44. Could you read that in English when you get it, Yanazar?
God, sir. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 44 in English. And she say to me, both drink thou, and I will also draw for thy camels, for the same be the women whom the Lord hath appointed out for my master's son.
Salakia, not that one, my bad. You know, that does demonstrate, that does show some of our pronominals, but that's not the example of what I was. Well, actually, let me see. Hold up. 1 second. One second. Bear with me. No, I don't want to use that one. There's a part in there that works, but I don't want to use that one particularly. Salakia. Let me find another one. Matter of fact, let's just go. Let's just see if we just find the the actual word. Bear with me. That might be easier. Oh, I wrote it down. No. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, if anybody has any questions online, please just feel free. Salakia. I'm just looking for something real quick. But yeah, if you have any questions, you know what I'm saying, don't hesitate. I want like the word search. You gotta put it in parentheses. Not parentheses, like quotation. There we go. Now, let's see this in action. Go to Genesis 4:26, Baba Kushar. This is a good one here to kind of see the difference. And also how and this helps with this too. As we're searching through these scriptures and using these different words and looking for different things. Remember we said it last week, Yanazar? Remember that this Bible was translated into Old Quaker English. Really, you know, the phrase Old Quaker English is what we use to get you to understand, like, again, the time stamp of it, when it was done. But a lot of this language is very poetic and romanticized. Why? Genesis, the fourth chapter and the 26th verse. You got to remember, this was commissioned by who? Well, Khan, but who on earth commissioned the translation of the Bible into English? King James, specifically the third translation, the King James Bible. You got to be careful because King James was not the first to have the Bible translated into English. I believe there was two. There was two prior to the King James Bible. I forgot the names of them. It's easy to find. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. But so a lot of this language is very, what you're reading is not, again, the straightforward, direct way that it's being said in Hebrew. So sometimes when we're looking for an I in this way, or a my or mine in this way, or a me in this way, we may be like, damn, that's not quite what I expected, because we learned to say Yah for this. We learned that Anya is this, and so on and so forth. But you got to remember, there's a lot of embellishment with the words here. It doesn't mean that the scriptures are wrong, but it's written in such a way, he saith to her, and she saith unto him, and so on and so forth, where it's not always going to be equal, you know what I'm saying, in the way we expect, right? But let's look at this example real quick. You got that, brother? Read it in the English Bible, Kushah.
Book of Genesis, chapter 4 and verse 26. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now the part we want to focus on is this first part. And to Seth, to him there was born a son. Right? Now, in this sentence, and to Seth, to him there was born a son. It's worded in a funny way. To him there was born a son. Him almost sounds like a what? Like in English, it would commonly be a what? An object pronoun. Like, I know him. Oh, I've seen him before. Right? Things like that. Usually when you're using it as a subject pronoun, it would be he. He said this. He did this. But then there's also other times where, that's why in these brackets we have it him or he, because he can also be a object pronoun. I don't know where he is. Right? So it can be either or. But in this particular sentence, they chose to use the word him when they translate it into English, which is not a problem. It's not wrong. But let's break it down. Let's read it in Hebrew. It says, Walashath, which means and to Seth, right? Gum, which means also. Hawa'ah, Yalad, Ban. That is the first part of the sentence where you can see, and again, as we always want to understand about grammar, all my brothers who end up having to read in the Hebrew, or not in the Hebrew, Salakia, young troopers coming in, the young men coming in, when you have to read, remember to use that grammar. Use those commas, those semicolons, those colons. And to Seth, to him, right? Also, there was born a son. And then there's a semicolon. What that signifies is that actually is an independent clause, meaning that essentially could be a sentence on its own. But for the sake of more details, it continues. But nonetheless, we see this word Hawa'ah, right? And to Seth, to him also there was born a son. Walashath Gam Hawa'ah Yalad Bun. If we were to translate this into a more straightforward manner, it would not say to him. Because if we were to write to him, what would we write? Who can remember? What would we, if we wanted to say to him, what would we write? An example that is actually throughout the scriptures, but we just, again, like I said, in this particular sentence, it's not there. Why? We would say something like what? We would say like Loa, right? Because La is two, right? And Y is him, right? Loa. Still same concept. We still be using our pronominal, but we would go Loa to him or to he, right? Loa. You can also say Alyawa because Alya is the root word for La. Okay, La is kind of a shortened form of it, but nonetheless, we don't see that here. It says to him in English, but we don't see that. We don't see there's no Al, there's no La. It just says Walashath, which that means and to Seth, right? Gam also Hawa'ah Yalad Bun. Hawa'ah just means he. So where's the two coming from? There is no two. That's just, again, that's just them choosing to kind of word it that way in their, kind of King's English, right? But if we look at it, what it's really saying more straightforward is Walashath and to Seth, Gam also Hawa'ah, he, Yalad, born son. It doesn't have the embellishment of and to him there was born a son. Nope. None of that. Yalad is just a verb that means born or birthed or begat or born, right? Or bear. Again, basically what I'm saying is that the way they word it is they make him sound inactive, like he's just a participant. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son. It just, the language, you get what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but it kind of dampens it. To him there was born a son. As if, it happened and he just happened to be part of it. But in Hebrew, it's literally saying he had a son. He bore a son. That's what it's saying. Walashath Gam Hawa'ah Yalad Bun. And to Seth also he bare a son. You understand? He's a lot more active, right? That's the usage of the personal pronoun. You're right. So again, whether we're being formal or we're just trying to be more direct about who's performing the action, we're going to try to use those personal pronouns a lot. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what else we can do. One second. Give me Genesis chapter 19 and verse 13. Again, active. You know what I mean? So no different than in English, man. I remember learning this in my courses, man. It's like, with language, how you word things is gonna determine like the focus. It's going to determine the, again, like the how do I say this? The directness of it, the strength of it, right? You can word a certain sentence a certain way to where it seems like a person is less active. They're a part of the action. To say to him was born a son makes it sound like to Seth, like Seth was a part of the action and not an active player or even the catalyst of an action. But to say he bare a son or he had a son is much more direct, and again, it gives much more force to it. That action is kind of more driven home when you say he had a son or he bore a son, he bare a son. Okay, and we're going to see this with this next sentence as well. So, like, young man Henry, can you still hear me? Just make sure the audio is still good.
Can and one can.
Okay, most high in Christ, Salaki. Got that, Yanazor? Genesis chapter 19 to verse 13. Go ahead and read it, Baba Share. No, the 19th chapter and the 13th verse.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 19, verse 13 in English. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it.
Right. For we will destroy this place. Right? We will. This is a good one. We might be able to use this one for exactly what we're talking about, right? For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Most High, and the Most High hath sent us to destroy it. So let's focus on the first part. Remember that a sentence is just what a compound sentence is, just a collection or a conglomerate of sentences. For we will destroy this place. That could be a sentence on its own. Because the cry of them is waxing great. That's a sentence on its own. Before the face of the Lord, you can break this up into little parts, but this first part, for we will destroy this place. So what's the action being said it. I just said it. The action being done is what? To destroy this place. And we only have one pronoun here. We. We will destroy this place. But who can guess what word is used? Will it be a more passive object pronoun or a more aggressive subject pronoun? We will destroy this place. What y'all think? Right, it'd be better to use strong we. Like we're going to do it. Right, we're going to do it. Which would be what in Hebrew? Let's see if a not now. Go ahead and read it in Hebrew Bible Shah.
Kaya Ashakathium Anaknawa Ath Hamakwawum Hazah Kaya Gadala Taza Aikwahum Aquathum Salakia Ath Panya Yahweh Laya Shalaknawa Yahweh Lashakatha Shakatha.
God. Well said, right? You see that first part? For we will destroy this place, when translated into Hebrew, is Kaya for Mashakathium will destroy not now we, right? Ath ha it's like ha makwawam. Right. The Anak Nawa is we, for we will destroy this place. For destroy it we will, or something to that effect. It's strong language. This is the subject. We will destroy. This is, again, it's bringing attention to the fact that the place is going to be destroyed, but the place is a what? A bystander. It's getting destroyed. It's not making a decision. It's not moving any parts. It's busy getting destroyed. And the person destroying it is us. We are doing it. But then notice this at the end of the sentence. Notice this. Then it goes and says in English, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Most High. Last part. And the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. Now, in the beginning of the sentence, it was all about we will destroy it, right? But now at the end, it says, and the Lord hath sent us. Now, who's doing the action? The Lord is doing the action. So will it be big bad Anak Nawa again? Or will it have to be replaced with something else? Let's see. It says, right? Ath, Hamakuam, Haza Kaya, Garala, Taza Aikwatham, Atha, Panya Yahweh. Here we go. Wa Yashalak Nawa. Yahweh. Wa Yashalak Nawa. And he sent us, the Most High Yahweh, La Shakatha, to destroy it. He sent us and sent us. Why Yashalak Nawa? It started with Anak Nawa because we were doing the action. We will destroy it. But when it came to, and he sent us, we weren't doing the action no more. So then it became what? Nawa. At the end. The word for sent is shalach, right? Right? It becomes Yashalak, meaning he sent. And he sent us. And then it names the Most High, Yahweh, right? And he sent us. Okay? But again, we're no longer the one, aggressively performing the action. We're the product or the object of being sent. But notice again, it said Yah at the beginning. Now there's a little difference here. These are pronominals. All of these are at the end of a word. Yah is at the beginning of a word. Okay, we're gonna talk about that next week, right? That's going into our prepositions, right? Which still can be used a certain way. We can, again, that's where we get into more formal, informal, right? Whether we want to use Yah or Hawa'ah, whether we want to use, because you can also say ah at the beginning of a word for I, right? But there's certain circumstances for that. All right. But this is more so aggressively, denoting who's performing a certain action. All right. Most High in Christ. Let's get a couple more. Any questions? Go to Genesis chapter 3 and verse 7. Let's read it in English first.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 7. The eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Uh-huh. Most High in Christ. Mm-hmm. Right. So check it out. Right. And the eyes of them were both were open, and they knew that they were naked. We're gonna just focus on that. If we look at it from an English standpoint, and the eyes of them were both opened, and they knew that they were naked. There's a lot of pronouns here. Some stand out as a little bit more subject based, right? And the eyes of them were both open. That seems kind of, again, like soft and passive, right? Them. And they knew that they were naked. Now that right there, that they knew sounds more like a subject. But let's see how it works in the actual sentence in the Hebrew. Read it in the Hebrew, Yanazar. I'm gonna kind of stop you as you go. Make sure you're on it on the Blue Letter Bible, everybody. Genesis 3 and 7. Make sure you're on there like this. All right. And then make sure it says forward in line, and read along from right to left, from that top right to the left, and keep going down. Go ahead. Let's use the mic.
Wathapakwakana.
Mm-hmm.
Ayanaya.
Right.
Shanyahum.
And opened, and were opened the eyes. Ayanya is eyes. Go ahead. What's that last word you said?
Shanyahum.
Shanyahum. Shanya, or shanyam, means both. That's what shanyam means, right? It means both, double, couple, right? Shanyam. And it says what? It says shanya hum.
Them.
Right here, it's like it. Or better yet, no, not quite them. Their eyes. See? That's the key right there. Because why? If you read it in English, it doesn't say their eyes. It doesn't say it. Well, it really technically doesn't say their eyes anyway. It says the eyes
of both of them.
There we go. Right? The eyes of both of them. Right? The eyes, both them. To them. Two of them. Couple of them. Right? That is more passive. And the eyes of them. So that's right. They did it right. They used it. They used them here as something of an object pronoun in the eyes of them. Right? And they use hum at the end of this word, meaning both of them. And the eyes, or better yet, and opened the eyes, both of them. Go ahead.
Waya da Iwa. Kaya. Ayaramam.
Right, hold up. Waya da Iwa, right? Because let's see. Yadai, I believe, means to know. Yeah, know or knowledge, known. Right? So it says wa yadaiwa. You understand? And they knew, but really technically it doesn't say they knew. Go ahead.
Kaya ayaramam. Hum waya the parwa.
Hold, I gotta stop you there, right? Hold up 1 second. Let me see something. Just a moment. Shalakia. Let me X this out. All right. Kaya. So Wayadaiwa. Kaya. Ayarum. It's like Ayarmum. Hum. That's the end of that basically clause. And it says, and they knew, or knew they, Kaya, that naked they were. They were. And notice there, it just says they. And they knew they were naked. More active, because they're the ones who knew it. And they were the ones who were what? Naked. Because they were naked. They knew they were naked, right? That action or that state of being naked, it was them who did it. Okay? They were not, just bystanders that this was happening to. This was something that actively they were participants in. All right? Let's get another one before we end it. Salakia. Maybe two more. Maybe even fit two more. Just a moment. Might change the word. Let's see if we can do something with vine. Mm-mm. Just a moment. I'll say this next week. It's a good sentence. What's not coming up? That's weird. I don't think it'll come up that way. No, maybe. So lucky. I'm looking for this particular word in the blue letter. Kind. Do your thing. Most High in Christ. Mm-mm. Let's see. This one might work. Mm-mm. I'm gonna use this one again. Or maybe we can use Han. So we just got one more to go. Salakia. One second. If I can't find it, then I might just have to save it till next week. Okay, let's do this one. Let's go to Genesis chapter 29 and verse 4. This will be the last one for today. Mm-hmm. Genesis, the 29th chapter and the 4th verse. Read it, Baba Kusha.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 29 and verse 4. And Jacob said unto them, my brethren, whence be ye? And they said, of Haran are we.
All right, this is a smooth, just, verse right here, because it just provides a few, saying basic things that we can use, right? So the first part says, and Jacob said unto them. And we see that in Hebrew it says, Waya Amar, which we by now have seen many, many times. So many verses begin that way. Waya Amar, which means, and he said. So it's almost to the point where we can begin to start seeing that not only can we use our personal pronouns as subject pronouns, but even some of our prepositions, the ya that we use at the beginning of a word and things like that, the I that we might use at the beginning of a word to say I or I am. Maybe next week we can talk about that. Those also seem to be used as subject pronouns more often, because in saying, and he said, right, to them or unto them, remember we spoke about that before, look at what unto them is, lahum, which is what we talked about with our prefix suffix when we got rid of the root, when there was kind of nothing here. For now, I'll just kind of so you can kind of see, even if, these markers, even if there's nothing here, if we have, this is lachum, that's lachum right there, right? Lachum. That means to what? That means to you all, or to you in plural. But if we were to change it to lahum, exactly. Lahum would be to them. And we're seeing that clearly in this sentence. So once again, we're seeing these pronominals, possessives, used mostly as object pronouns. And he said to them. The them is just receiving the saying, but the action is being performed by the he. Okay? But let's go forward. And he said to them, which in Hebrew is Waya Amar, Laham, Yaiquab. That's another thing you'll notice that a lot of times it'll give you the noun afterwards. Right? So, and he said to them, Yaiquab, that's referring to the he. Right? So, and he said to them, Yaiquab, Akia, which is a shortened form of Akim. Well, no, excuse me, not shortened form. It's exactly what it is. It's my brethren. Right, because we know that here we have our possessors, right? This one is not used as a pronoun at all. This is not even its abilities as a pronominal. It's not using. It's just straight up using it as a possessive. My Akia. We know that Ak is brother, right? Or Akyum. But then people often ask, well, how do you, if it's plural and you want to make it possessive? Oftentimes you just drop the yum, and you just leave it Akia, which would be plural. So you can say Akia to mean singular brother or Akia to mean brothers, right? But here we see my brethren, Akia. All right. Then he says, Ma Ayun, right? Whence, or from, really, it's from where? From where are you? Ma Ayun, a thumb. Notice, here we go. Now he uses a thumb, one of the personal pronouns. From where are you? Because he's asking them, he's trying to get information about what? About them. Again, they're the subject of this question. Where are you from? From where are you? This is a funny older English way of saying it. From where are you? But he's basically saying, where are you from? And it's also formal because he doesn't know them. Or where are you coming from? And so he says a thumb, right? Because he's trying to get information about them. And then let's see how they respond. And they said, of Haran are we? And let's see. And they said, Salakia, bear with me. Waya Amarwa, which is, and they said, Ma Haran, which is from Haran, Anak Nawa. Now they are the what? The subject. Right. They are the subject now. We are of Hawan. We are, it's like not Hawan, Salakia. Salakia Trooper, if you're listening. We are of Haran, or we are from Haran. More, you're giving them, they are the subject here. And you see the usage of Anak now. So we're going to see this concept play out quite a bit. Most of the time when we see an object pronoun, something that is a more passive pronoun within the statement, we're going to see it more often come from a pronominal, what we call a possessive. However, we now know that the personal pronouns, as well as some of our prepositions that we use at the beginning of words, can be used as what? Can be used as the subject pronouns. All right. We're going to get more on this, get a better understanding on this in the coming weeks. There was some more stuff I wanted to go over, but we'll save it for next week. There's some more next week. I want to come with some new words. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all tired of all this grammar stuff, but no, so we'll come with some new words next week. You know what I'm saying? That we can, plug into our sentences. So, are there any questions in the room or online, young man? Do you have any questions?
Lahasa.
No sweat, no sweat. Of course, you also know if you do have any questions, you can go. I know you have my email. You can shoot me an email or what have you. You know what I'm saying? Or shoot. I mean, you always ask Captain Knight Doc because he knows way better than I know anything. Mm-hmm. But there's that as well. You know what I mean? But if there's nothing in the room, nothing online, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna clip it up here. Next week we'll continue with this, get to a better understanding of the relationship between these types of pronouns, get some new words. Let's try to write some more Hebrew up here as well, some actual letters. Get back to probably do an alphabet review and everything. But with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Priest and Officer of 500 Yanazar.
Security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21 in Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means 10th in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation. Remind Akim and Akwatium to check on social media such as ISUPK. Oh, Salakia. Upcoming holy convocation will be the Feast of Purim, which is March 5th, Sunday, March 5th and 6th, and Monday, March 6th, Salakia. Okay, and of course, we're coming upon the 54th annual Passover, April 1st here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, you know, it's the law, y'all. It's the law. It's going to be glorious. You understand? And I'm really looking forward to it because it's in my adopted hometown. Okay. Remind Akim and Akwatium to check on social media such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, they need to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband or scarf, and with that, men of Israel, imajim, which means to stand.